Welcome back everyone. In today's video I will be showing you how to integrate Snowflake Data Warehouse with Amazon S3 packet. Okay, so let's get to it. Okay, so like I mentioned in today's video, I'll be showing you how to integrate Snowflake Data Warehouse with Amazon S3 packet. Okay, so imagine you have data in AWS S3 and you want to bring that data over to Snowflake. How do you do that? Okay, so there's definitely some sort of communication that needs to happen between Snowflake and S3 so that you are able to now bring your data from S3 to Snowflake and potentially also take data out from Snowflake and put it back to S3. Okay, so how do you configure that integration? So that's what we'll be going through in this video. So definitely do stick around because we will be going through all the setup that you need to do in Snowflake so that you're able to communicate with AWS S3. Alright, so let's get to it. So the first thing that you need to do is to have your Snowflake Data Warehouse account as well as S3. So I'm going to show you those ones really quick. So I am going to log into my Snowflake. This is my Snowflake account and I will just quickly show you the data here, you know, some of the schemas or databases that I have. We will dig deeper into this, okay? But this is my Snowflake Data Warehouse account, and if you don't have one, you can go ahead and create an account with Snowflake. I think you do get some free trial for 15 days or 30 days, and after that you will need to enter your bank information. But yeah, go ahead and do that. If you don't have account with Snowflake, go ahead and sign up. I already have one. Okay, so this is a Snowflake account that I will be using in this demo, and then the other one that you do need to have is AWS. So I'm just going to go to my AWS console, and I'm also already logged in here. If you don't have an account with AWS, also do the same thing. Go ahead and sign up. I think they give you 365 days to play with. Okay, and once you do that, log in, and what we want to do is we want to navigate to S3. Okay, so right here in my recently visited services, I do have AWS S3. If you don't have, you can also search S3 right here, and that will pop up here, and just go ahead and go right there. Now once you're here, what you need to do is you need to create a packet where your objects or data will be stored. Okay, so for me, I have the packet right here, and this is what we'll be using, and the data that we will be using will be in one of these folders. Okay, so we'll come back to this, and if you just want to know how to create a packet, then just go ahead and hit here where it says create packet. Put your packet name here. It has to be unique, and you can choose some of these additional options, but if you're not interested in those, just go ahead and create pretty quick, and then it will create a packet for you. Okay, for me, I already have the packet, so we are cool with this. Alright, so we now have our AWS packet and we have our Snowflake environment as well. Okay, so how do you connect these two? Okay, so in order to connect your Snowflake Data Warehouse to AWS S3 packet, there are two ways of doing it. The first one is by using AWS Credentials. That is, you have to create a user in AWS and then come to Snowflake and specify the credentials for that user. And that mostly is the AWS keys that you generate when you create a user, as well as the access tokens. Okay, and then the other one is using AWS role. Okay, AWS IAM role, and we will be going through that in this video. Okay, so let's actually jump over to the first process. Okay, so I'm going to go to this tab right here, and I do have here some queries pre-written. Okay, and we will be going through this. Okay, so like I mentioned, the first way of connecting your Snowflake to AWS S3 is through credentials and storage integration, and this is basically using the AWS IAM role. Okay, so with the credentials, what we need to do is we need to go over to AWS, create a user, and with that user we want to retrieve the access keys. Okay, so the keys that we need to get in this case are the AWS key ID and AWS secret ID. Okay, so I will be going over this one first. All right, and once we are done with this, I will also be showing you how you can like load your data with this option here, right, from S3 to Snowflake. Okay, and once we're done with this, I will show you how to set up storage integration and also load data to your Snowflake using storage integration. Okay, so let's start with the first one here, the credentials. Okay, so with credentials, what you need to do is create a user in AWS. Okay, so we'll go over to our AWS, and I'm going to go to IAM. If you don't see IAM here, just type IAM, and that is basically identity management in AWS, where you can create and manage users. Okay, so I'm going to IAM, and I will go over right here. So this is a dashboard for IAM in AWS, and what you want to do is go to user section and create a user. Okay, so you can create a user or you can use existing user as long as you have the keys for that user. Okay, so for me, I'm actually going to start this from scratch, so I'll go ahead and create a user here, and with this I will call this demo user, like so. Okay, and then you can see it's profile. We don't want to do that, so I'm just going to click next, and then with attach policies or permissions, I'm going to click here attach policies directly, and we just want this user to access S3. That's all this user is going to do. Okay, and we'll just give this user full S3 access, and then click next, and we will go ahead and create the user. Okay, so this user has been created now, and the next thing is we want to generate the access key. So click into that user, come to security credentials. Okay, scroll down here, and right here where it says access keys, all you want to do is just create access key. And then for the options here, I think you can choose any of these. I'm just going to do the CLI one, command line interface. It doesn't matter. I don't think it matters which one of these you choose. And then just click here where it says I understand the above recommendation. Go ahead and hit next. And now you can describe this if you like. I'm just going to leave it empty and go ahead and create. Okay, so now you have created the user, and the next thing that you would like to do or you'll want to do is to make sure that you save the access keys. You only see this one once. Okay, so if you lose this, you'll not be able to retrieve them again, and the only way is to recreate them. Okay, so I'm going to leave this tab open, and what I will do is I will jump over to Snowflake, and you can just go here and create or open a new worksheet. And what I will do is I am going to create a stage, external stage in Snowflake. External stage really is where you can store your data that is coming from external locations. So in this case, we have S3 as our storage. So what we want to do, because we don't want to store the data in Snowflake, is that we want to create a external stage, and that external stage will be referencing our S3. Okay, so in this case, this is that stage here. So this is the how the DDL looks like. So you create or replace, and you put a stage which tells Snowflake that you want to create a stage, and then the stage name. So in this case, I'm naming the stage as S3 underscore stage demo. Okay, and then for the URL, you want to put the URL for the S3 that you want to access. Okay, so in this case, I am only interested with this S3 for sales, and if we go back to that packet is right here, incoming data and inside sales. Okay, so this is the packet that we want to access the data for, that we want to load to Snowflake. Okay, you can just put the entire packet if you like, but in this case I'm just limiting it to only this this folder right here. Okay, so that's the one that I'm putting here, and basically all the files that will be inside this packet, we want to bring them to Snowflake, or Snowflake will have access to all the files that are under this folder right here. And now this is the part now where you need to put the credentials, right? So for the credentials, you want to get the key ID and the secret key. Okay, so all you have to do then is just go over to your AWS. If you save this somewhere, then just retrieve them. We'll copy the access key, we'll come here and just paste it right here, like so. Okay, make sure there are no spaces. And then the next thing that we need to retrieve is a secret access key. I'm just going to refill that, copy this, we come back here and we copy it and paste right here. Okay, so that's all you need, right? And then just you can specify the file format if you need, and in this case the files are in CSV format. We'll go ahead and highlight this and then just go ahead and create this. Okay, so this is going to create the stage now, and this is going to be referencing that stage. Okay, now in order to copy the data now from that stage to Snowflake, there are two things that you need to do. What you will want to do is to have the table already created in Snowflake, and then you just go ahead and copy the data from the stage now. So if you look at this staging copy into command, it's getting the data from copy into. We are copying into the table. In this case, our table is in dbt ELT staging cells, and I will show you that. If you go to this database, dbt ELT, under staging schema, we have a table called cells. That is where we will be copying this data to. I will show you the table for that. This is how the table looks like. I created this table, create table if not exists. These are the field names in that table. And if you go to S3, I will just show you this file, right? I'm going to open this file and I will show you how it looks like. Okay, so if I open it, this file, this is how it looks. Okay, so that is this is a file I have here. Okay, so we have ID, order ID, and this amount of records. Okay, so if I go back now to Snowflake, this is the table. We go back to our stage here. All right, so what it is doing here now is it's copying into that table, because okay, so you can specify the location using the tree namespace, I think, like, you know, the database schema and then the table. Or if you have it selected here like the way I have, then you can just go ahead and copy into the table. It knows that we are selected to staging. Okay, so it's only copying to the table that's in this location. Okay, and then from now here we want to choose the stage, right? So from at stage, and this is a stage created here, and then we want to specify the file in S3. Okay, in this case we are loading this file right here, this one here, the second one here. Okay, that's the one we're loading. In the next one where we are doing storage integration, I will show you how to load the second one. Okay, all right, so you do that, and then all you have to do is just you can put some other additional options here if you like, depending on the how your file looks like, but for me it's just as simple as this. Then we'll just go ahead and load. Now before I do this, let me show you if we have any data in this table. So we'll go ahead and select stuff from this table. It's empty. Okay, so let's go ahead now and copy this data. So as you saw in that file, we have 20 records, right? We have 20 records. Let me just show you quickly. Okay, so we have 20 records, and the order ID is from number 1 to number 20. Okay, so make a note of this, because the file that will be loading using storage integration will be starting from 21. Okay, so this one has up to order number 20. We'll close this, and then we'll go ahead and copy that file. Okay, so I'm just going to highlight this and run this. Okay, so this is going to run. It's going to grab that file from S3, and as you can see, we have successfully loaded this file to Snowflake. Now you can go back, you can go down here and select, just query that table, and as you can see, we have our data here, and 20 records were loaded right here. Okay, so 20 records were loaded. So we can successfully say now that we have loaded our file from S3 to Snowflake using this first method here, and this is where you're creating external stage with credentials. Now the problem with this is this is not secure, right? Because you are exposing your keys. So if anybody was to get hold of this, and they can harm your system, they can be able to access your system and cause harm. Okay, so this is not recommended because of the security risk that it plays. But if you just want to play around with it, then you can use this. Obviously, you don't want to expose these keys. So in my case, I'm going to delete this user after this. So that's why I'm showing you. But yeah, so that is the first way of integrating your Snowflake with S3 using credentials. Again, this is not secure. Now let's move to the more secure option, and that is using storage integration. Okay, so with storage integration, Snowflake will be connecting to your S3 packet using AWS role, okay, IAM role. So what you're doing in this role is basically making sure that Snowflake is trusted in that role, and you can specify the permissions in that role, and go ahead and create your connection. This is more secure because you are not using any keys, so it's just a role, right? So we'll go ahead and do that. I will show you how to create a role, and then we'll come back here and do the same thing. Okay, so I'm going to jump over now to AWS. We will still go to our IAM, so go to IAM right here, and what we want to do now, instead of creating a user, we want to create a role. Okay, so I'm going to go to role or roles, and then we'll go ahead and create a role right here. And the role that we want to create is a trace. We want to trust AWS account. We want to choose the second one here because we will be connecting to Snowflake, and my Snowflake is hosted in Azure, so I don't think it matters. Okay, so choose this option right here, AWS account, and then you scroll down here on AWS account. I'm going to leave this one as this account. This is the one that I want Snowflake to trust. But if you have another AWS account, then you can go right here and put the ID. But I'm just going to go with the first one here, right? This account. Now, the other thing that we want to do here is we want to select this option here, require external ID. This is the best practice when a third party will assume this role, okay? So this option is important because we want Snowflake to assume this role and use it in order to connect to our S3, and also if we wanted to unload data from Snowflake to S3, then we want to continue using this role, okay? So I'm going to select this one here, and for now we will just put some placeholder for external ID. In this case, I will just put 000, and this is also the external ID that is mentioned in Snowflake documentation. I will put that documentation also in the description of this video if you want to take a look. But yeah, so you can put this as placeholder. We will change this one once this role is created, okay? We'll go ahead and do that, and we'll go next here. And then for this one, I'm just going to select S3 for this, because S3 is the service that we'll be using to connect or to communicate with Snowflake, okay? So we'll go ahead and choose S3 full access. So notice I'm just doing full access here, but there are several other permissions here if you just want to limit access to S3. So you can do read or just do S3 table full access. For my case, I'm doing full access for S3. We'll click next, and then we can put the role name here. So for this one, I'm doing Snowflake S3 role, like so. And then we will go ahead and now create this. Okay, so this role has been created, and now what you want to do is click into this role, and we want to grab the ARN for this. So copy the ARN, and then we'll come back to Snowflake now. And what we want to do now is to create our storage integration. Okay, so for the storage integration, this is how the DDL looks like. Create or replace a storage integration. Put the name of your storage integration here. Okay, so you can put any name here. I have named this S3 storage integration. The type is external stage, and the storage provider is S3, and this one is enabled. And now for the storage AWS role ARN, this is the role that we just created. So I'm just going to copy that and put it right here. Okay, so this is a role that we just created, this one here, that is the storage AWS role ARN. And then right here you can choose the storage allowed locations. So you want to choose the locations in S3 that you want to allow. If you just want to allow everything, I believe you can do star here like this, star like so, if you want to allow all the packets to be accessed by Snowflake. In my case, I don't want to do that, so I'm just going to only let Snowflake access this packet for now. And then, so once we do that, what you want to do is just go ahead and create this. So go ahead and create this storage integration. And now what this will do is it is now creating a integration for you that is connected to S3, and it is using this IAM role right here. Okay, now we scroll down. So now you have created your storage integration. So what is the next thing that we need to do? Okay, so you have your integration created here. So what is the next thing that we need to do? So the next thing that we need to do is to create a stage in external stage. Okay, so we want to create now external stage in Snowflake, and that's external stage will be using this storage integration. So if you saw above here, we were using these credentials. Our stage was using these credentials. Now the stage that we'll be creating here, the external stage, will be using storage integration to communicate with AWS. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so I'm just going to select this, and we will hit run here. This is going to create our stage, and this one, the stage is called my stage S3 int. Okay, and it is pointing to the URL is still sales. That's the one we want to allow. Okay, and then from there, what we want to do next is now to copy this data, to copy the file. And like I mentioned before, we want to copy the second file right here. So I'll quickly show you how this file looks like. This basically has records from number 21 to number 40. Okay, and the structure is the same. Okay, so I am going to do that. So I'm going to just copy into our sales table here from our stage. So again, I'm inside my staging, so this is not really needed. Just copy into stages, into sales, and then we want to now, so from here is referencing our storage integration stage that we created right here, right? So we created our stage here that is using storage integration, and we want to grab the data from there for the second table. Okay, so this is not going to run, and I'm doing this deliberately so I show you how to fix it. Okay, so we'll go ahead and click run on this, and as you can see, we are having this issue right here. So this is an error that we are running into. So it says error assuming AWS role and it's failing. Okay, so you can see here the user is not authorized to perform STS on resource, this one here. Okay, so this is an error that we can fix now in this next step. What this basically means is that Snowflake is still not able to communicate with AWS because there are some changes in your role that you need to make. So what Snowflake does when you create your role is it's going to create you a user and a role as well. And we need to copy that and modify our existing IAM role in AWS. So to do that, what you want to do is you want to describe your integration. Okay, so just run this command here, describe integration, and we want to put here the integration that we created, the name of the storage integration, which is right here. Okay, so you just copy that and put it here. We want to describe, and this will give us more information that we need to go back to AWS and put it there. Okay, so this is how your storage integration that you created looks like. Okay, so the storage provider is S3, and then we have this is the packet that we allowed, and then we didn't put any plug location, and we have here storage AWS IAM user ARN. So remember when we created our ARN user in AWS, when we reference it, Snowflake also created for you a ARN user that assumes the role that you created in AWS. So what we need to do is we want to copy this ARN right here. Okay, so we'll copy this ARN. We'll go back to our IAM role, right here. This is that role here. Okay, and we go to trust relationships. We want to modify this. Just click edit, and instead of leaving this user here, this principal here, instead of leaving it as it is when it was created, we want to update this and put that ARN from AWS, sorry, from Snowflake. All right, so you just want to replace that with this value here, right here, for storage AWS ARN. Okay, so that's what we want to replace it with. And now the other additional thing that we want to replace here is this value here. This placeholder value we put here, we want to replace that value with the storage AWS external ID, which is this guy right here. So we copy this, bring it over here, and we want to modify this, basically edit it and remove that and paste with the value that you have right here. Okay, so those are the only changes you need to make here. Okay, so you put the ARN from Snowflake right here, and then the second one for the STS external ID, we want to put the external ID for our storage integration layer right here. Okay, so once you do that, go ahead and update the policy, and now we should be able to bring our data from S3. Okay, so now let's go ahead and run that query again. So we copy into, we run it, and looks like it's good. There we go. So you can see now that we are able to load our data from S3 to Snowflake. Okay, let's see if we have those additional records now. We had 20. Let's see if we get the additional 20 now. All right, so you can see we have up to number 40 now, and the second records that we added are from number 21 all the way to number 40. Okay, so as you can see now, we have successfully loaded our data into Snowflake from S3 using storage integration layer. All right, so just a quick recap. We did this in two ways. The first one, we used the AWS Credentials, where we created a user in AWS and then just grabbed the keys for that. Okay, and then we went ahead and created the stage. Of course, this is pretty straightforward. You just create a stage and input the credentials here, and then go ahead and copy your data from the stage that you create up here, right here, and then this will be copying to Snowflake table. So in this case, just make sure that the table in Snowflake exists. And if you're wondering where I got the data from in this video, you can grab the data from anywhere really. For my case, I just went to ChatGPT and told ChatGPT to generate for me some sample data for sales with these columns. If you want to know some other sources where you can get data from, I made a video where I went through some of the websites that you can use to generate real world data. I'll put the link for that video also in the description, and you can take a look if you just want real data or websites where you can download data from. You can use those websites. It doesn't have to be exactly, your table doesn't have to be exactly the way mine is looking. You can just create any temporary table. You can even create it from here, right here in Snowflake, and put the data. The process should be very similar. Okay, so we went ahead and did that. So we copied that, and we were able to see that our data was successfully loaded to Snowflake. And then the second method that we used was storage integration. So this is the most secure one, and it uses AWS role. So we went to AWS, created this role right here, came right here to Snowflake, and we created our storage integration pointing to S3 and the packet that we want to grab the data from. And then we went ahead and of course I showed you without, if you don't create your role properly, then this is going to not work properly when you copy the data. So we created the stage pointing to the storage integration, and then we came here, grabbed our data from S3, of course referencing the stage here, and we grabbed the file here and we ran, and we were successfully able to load our data to Snowflake. Okay, so again, just make sure that when you run your describe integration, after you create your role, if you follow the steps I showed you, you just once you create it, what you want to come is what you want to do is come back here, create your storage integration, and once the storage integration is created, you just then want to describe storage integration, and just grab these values and modify your IAM role. Okay, so if you work in an organization and you are not able to retrieve these values, then you can tell your administrator to do this for you, and then you should be able to go ahead and use the environment. Okay, one additional thing before we end this video that might be of importance is if at any point you change the if at any point you change the storage, sorry, the S3 bucket. So let's say you recreated this, right? So if you recreated this storage integration with a different AWS S3 bucket, so say instead of cells, you want to change this to orders. If you do that, then what you want to do is you have to again supply the values here. You want to supply these values and update your policy. Okay, this is something I faced where right after I was using orders bucket before, and when I recreated it, it failed to recognize it. So just make sure that if you recreate this with a different bucket, then you have to update the values in your policy. Now, one way around that is if you have additional packets that you want to use, then you can just come here and trust those packets, so that when you copy the data, then it's able to recognize those packets. Okay, so just something to know there. Alright guys, that's all I had for you. I just quickly wanted to show you because this is something I was recently also struggling with, but I wanted to show you how you can integrate your Snowflake with S3 and be able to bring data from S3 to your Snowflake Data Warehouse, and also potentially unload data from Snowflake to S3. I hope this video was helpful, and if it was, please give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel if you have not. Alright guys, I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.